let's get started. I'm excited about this lesson. So I know that I don't know if you all have seen my YouTube videos, but pretty much I've been posting on YouTube and on the Max Movement Training website. There's a learning center where you can basically get all of these trainings for free. On some very detailed level stuff where you can basically be able to do different processes and systems in your company. So again, I'm Dwight with Max Movement Training, everybody. So if you've been seeing my post in the group, we are the training firm for the moving industry. We specialize in mover driver training, sales training, operations training, such as dispatchers. And we actually have training for the coaches. And actually, the price for the coaching program right now for you owners is really, really a great price, going for $125 a month right now, which gives you so much insight on how to run your moving company so efficiently. But that's not the topic for today. Today, we're going to go over quote and flat rate moving for local moves. So let's get started. So, all right. So what we got basically going into quote and flat rate moving is you're going to have about 6 metrics. And this is from my expertise. There might be other ways of doing this, but from my expertise, basically you're going to want the size of the move, your standard trip fee, walking distance in feet, stairs, travel between locations, and just a buffer of time, because again, this is a flat rate quote. So you want to make sure that you have that extra little buffer just in case something occurs. There may, and this is local, so there shouldn't be too many more metrics. I think with these 6 metrics, you're hitting on just about everything. Obviously we're not including supplies and stuff like that you would normally bring for a job. But this is just your standard quote. So let's see if we have an example. Okay, so for rule of thumb, so for every 100 feet, I would probably estimate every 100 feet that you have to walk typically, I would probably estimate about 15 minutes. This is probably going to be a hard thing to grasp on because basically no customer is probably going to be 100% accurate. With, oh, well, yeah, the guy's got to walk probably like a few feet from the house to the truck. So they're not going to probably be 100% accurate. With this, your best bet is probably going to be able to Google map the location, see what the street view looks like to get a general idea. If it's a house, it probably gives you a closer idea of how far you're probably going to have to walk to get from the house front door to your truck. But if it's an apartment building, you're probably going to have to guesstimate really well. If it has elevators in there, you're going to want to factor the elevator time as well. Again, you could probably go with 15 minutes with elevators and that little buffer in there. And then figuring out, really asking that detailed question with the customer. Hey, how far is your apartment from the elevator, from the elevator? And how far is the elevator from the front door? And trying to really get a deep dive. Now, if you're using a company like LiveSwitch or some video software, you could have the customer just do a recording of the distance as they walk from their apartment to the door. Now, again, you have to be very detailed with flat rate. So you have to inform the customer that, hey, because we are quoting you flat rate, we definitely need this information to make sure that we're giving you the best quote possible. Also, one of the things to realize is that you want to make sure that customer's 100% ready. There's no waiting around for them to pack a box. There's none of that. Because again, this is flat rate. So they have to be 100% ready, or you may have to have some exclusions in your terms and conditions stating that, hey, if there's any delays, that cost is added on top of the original flat rate. And then, like I said, for every flight of stairs, rule of thumb, you can probably go 30 minutes per flight of stairs. So we do have an example here. Now, I'm going to just use some example numbers just so that we can get a quote. But basically these are, well, example rates is what I meant, so that we can get a quote. So we're gonna use 900 cubic feet for this load. So we have 900 cubic feet. And basically why we're using cubic feet is because I know a lot of people, some people are using cubic feet to quote their jobs, which then gives them a weight, and then they have the output of how many men can move how much weight per hour. So that's pretty standard. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to actually have an inventory, whatever the inventory is. Customer says, oh, we got a dresser, we got beds, we got end tables, we got whatever they got. Is going to add up to 900 cubic feet. Now, that 900 cubic feet, we're going to use a weight multiplier of 7, which is going to give us the 6,300 pounds. The walking distance for this example is going to be 200 feet. So we're going to already know that 15 for every 100 feet is 15 minutes. So we're going to say that's a half an hour right there. And then they have one flight at each location, because maybe they have a house and they have they're going up to the second floor at each location. So one flight of stairs at each location. So that's 2. So that's going to be 30 minutes times 2 is going to be 1 hour. And then the travel to and from the location is going to be 50 miles. Now, this is from your HQ to point A, and the destination, which is point B, back to HQ. So we're going to say that round trip right there is going to be 50 miles. And the travel between the location from point A to point B is going to be 30 minutes. And then we're going to add a 2-hour buffer just in case anything occurs. You know, maybe the bed took the guys a little longer to get together than expected. Maybe there was just some type of complications where we had to wait around because, you know, I don't know, the customer had to get a key or something. Whatever the case is, you know, where we don't want to be nickel and diming the customer in a sense, but we want to make sure that, hey, you know what, if we're going to pay our guys for the extra time, we factor in that extra time. And this is going to be our example. Now, typically, I'm going to just plug this into my chart because there's a lot of math here. Let's see, what chart? Okay, so, all right. So this is a chart that we typically use in-house where we're going to put in these metrics. So we're going to have 6,300 pounds. We're going to have 30 minutes for travel distance between the locations. And then stairs, we're going to also combine this with the walking distance, which we said was 30 minutes. So we're going to put just 3 flights of stairs. That adds up. And then we said 50 miles. All right, so did that go through? Let's see, 25, half an hour, 50 miles. Yeah, all right, so I went through. Okay. So now that we got our metrics and our general chart, and we're gonna, of course, add our 2-hour buffer in here. Where do we want to add the 2-hour buffer? Let's see. All right, we'll just add that separately. So now we have a chart here. So now we're going to be able to say, okay, hey, how many guys do you want to send on this? Now we're going to do a 2-hour buffer. We're going to add 2 hours to every one of these times. So we're going to have, in this case here, this is going to be 9 hours and 30 minutes. This would be 8 hours, etc. So at this point, we want to pitch efficiency. So our calculator is telling us that we're going to definitely need one truck for this because it's only 6,300 pounds. So we're probably going to want to go, in our best bet, we're going to do 4 guys, 1 truck, if we can do it. If you don't have the 1 truck where you can do 4 guys, 1 truck, that's completely understandable. But we're going to do 4 guys, 1 truck, and we're going to do for 8 hours. So in this case here, I believe this is set up for 2 trucks. But if we did it with the 2 trucks, basically the customer would be looking at, let me just add, I'm going to add 2 hours in the back end. What are we going to do? Okay, so 30. So we're going to add let's say 7 here. This should give us our 8 hours, I believe. All right. So let's go 3, and we would just add the 8 hours. So in this case here, if we was doing $300 an hour at 8 hours flat, basically we're looking at ads at 8, 16, 24, about $2,400 even. So that would ideally just be your flat rate quote that you would charge that customer, would just be $2,400 if this was your setup, your rates, with 2 trucks. Now, again, you probably don't need 2 trucks, so you might be able to say, well, hey, you know what, I'll do $250 an hour at, if you was on $50 a truck, and use this calculator here, $250 an hour, times 8. That's gonna so 58. So you'd probably be looking at $2,000 that you could tell that customer, hey, you know what, we could send you 4 guys. This includes travel. You don't even have to break it down to the customer because it's a flat rate quote, you know. So one of the things you do not want to do is break it down to the customer and tell them how you comprise your rates, because it's a flat rate quote, you know that they're going to probably be nickel and diming and saying, oh, well, can you take this off? Can you take that off? Or whatever the case is. And that's one thing you do not want to do, you know. So you don't necessarily even have to tell them the time, but you may, if you see that they're a difficult customer, you may want to just say, well, hey, on average, this job typically does take about 6 hours, you know. And again, you're not telling them the 2-hour buffer, tell them a little less, you know, like on average, yeah, this does take about 6 hours, but the guys will work as efficiently as possible so that, you know, you can get going with your day, you know. But you never want to tell them like, hey, it'll take 8 hours, because they might actually try to abuse that time and say, well, hey, you know, they did say it'll take 8 hours. So, you know what, I actually got a little bit more work I can have them do around the house or whatever the case is, so that we maximize out every dollar. So you never want to tell them the buffer of time. Get them, go a little less, exceed their expectations. If you do need a little bit extra time, maybe you need 7 hours. Hey, at the end of the day, they're not paying any more money. Plus, you can still pay your guys. Now, again, there's 2 ways you can pay your guys. You could pay your guys off of the hourly basis, like you've been doing, or you could pay your guys off of a per job level, where, hey, you know what, my driver, for this job, you know, I'll pay him $200 to $300. I'm not paying him no more. That's a flat rate based off of this job. My mover, I'm paying him $150 to $200. You know, and I'm not paying no more. So now you can budget your margins with the flat rate type of job. So now you know your profitability of coming off of every flat rate job. Again, this does not include materials. It doesn't include TV boxes, mattress bags, whatever else that you're going to upcharge. This just includes your foundational price. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, definitely post your questions in the comments. I'll look to address them. But this is just a recap of flat rate. It's not much to it, you know, but you definitely need to ask those questions. You know, if there's any special stuff that needs to be handled that might take a little bit of time, again, these are things you want to factor in. But these questions don't necessarily differ too much from the questions you should already be asking on your initial call. You know, it's just, again, when it comes to walking, when it comes to flights of stairs, the distance that you're going to have to travel between point A and point B, these are things you want to know, because basically you might have to factor in traffic. You might have to factor in a little bit more time. So, and then, again, make sure you always have your buffer. If you have any questions on charging flat rate for local moves, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. You can request a free consultation on the website, maxmovingtraining.com. And that's MACKS, movingtraining.com. And yeah, I hope this was beneficial. If you want to dive deeper into the numbers, definitely, again, this is stuff that I love to do. So definitely reach out to me, whether on Facebook or again on maxmovementtraining.com website. All right, y'all. Y'all take care.